Did you just throw your phone?
No, I did not throw the phone.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Big Party, where we dare you to say it again. As always, I'm Anthony, this is Carlos, welcome to the podcast. So if you guys are new with us, Big Party, it's a podcast about everything and kind of nothing. Carlos and I give our opinions on topics that you never knew you cared about, with opinions that you never asked for. So hope you enjoy the show.
That's our sweet spot in life.
Right, yeah. How's it going?
That's pretty good. All things considered, health-wise and everything, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah. Personally, it's going pretty good.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good. So new show, brand new show.
Yeah.
Brand new show.
With video.
With video. With video, hopefully. I mean, we have a lot of technical difficulties. But as our audience grows, I'm hoping that we can also like reinvest back into the show and give you guys really good content. So we wanted to shift gears. If you're joining us from like our room service days, if you're not, Room Service was a podcast where Carlos and I talk about our time in the hotel industry. We talk about leadership. We talk about staffing. We talked about everything that we kind of wanted to talk about in hotels. Whenever we were thinking about starting a podcast or we were thinking about doing a podcast, the one thing we didn't think about was, how long do we want to talk about this? Like, how long do we want to talk exclusively about hotels? Exclusively about hotels. I mean, we're still going to talk about hotels because we're both hotel professionals. But how long do we really want to talk about hotels? And how long do you guys, our listeners who obviously almost all had worked in the hospitality field, want to come home from work and listen to more work? So we asked you guys what you thought. We got some feedback from our listeners. We had some internal conversations, and we wanted to expand the show. And we really weren't able to do that with our little witty title of Room Service because that was like exclusively to hotels. So we were like, oh, wow, this sucks. We're going to have to change the title of the show completely. So we did. And now we're here.
Yeah, we changed it and we changed gears. It's not as professional TED Talk sounding as Room Service was, where I was like, that's an excellent point, Anthony. And if you would like to look at, now it's more along the lines of, I'm just going to say
that's actually how he really talks. This is an accent right now.
This is the accent I work on.
This is the dialect.
But yeah, it's Room Service was fun. But like you said, I feel like we said everything that we wanted to say and everything that you could basically say, because hospitality industry is not, a set industry where I can teach you 100 different things, because the minute you walk out, that 101st thing happens and you're going to be like, that wasn't in your podcast. Yeah. Like, well, yeah, I can't show you everything. So I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover.
The essence.
Yeah, I got the essence.
We got the essence. We got the essence of working in the hospitality industry. So it feels good to, have a kind of a different vibe. We're able to share our opinions together to you guys too. Hopefully get some more feedback from you guys on some of the topics that we're covering. And it's gonna be like Carlos and I. I mean, it's gonna be light and it's gonna be heavy. Like there's things that we're super passionate about. Carlos and I, first and foremost, are two very different people. But there are things that we're passionate about, things that we care about, things that are happening around us. So we're going to talk about, everything and nothing. That's what the podcast is about. So, more than anything, we just hope that you guys enjoy it. Thank you. Is it lightning? Is it lightning there?
It sure is. I just heard it. Yeah. I didn't know it, and I heard it, and I heard the thunder. It's about to be like a Twister forecast. I'm like, Anthony, you still have me.
We've had some pretty gnarly weather here too.
Yeah.
In good old Texas. Yeah.
I feel like we're creeping up to that hurricane season. Like it's starting to tick closer and closer, and that's kind of when it starts
And
happening.
I heard it's going to be a real active one. So yeah, I feel like Mother Nature like teamed up with God, who teamed up with Captain Planet, and they were all just like, you know what, 2020 is a wash. Let's have some fun.
It's a cleanse year.
Let's unleash some viruses. Let's cause some hurricanes. Let's have, what were those murder hornets?
Oh yeah, the murder hornets.
More murder hornets. And then in the Middle East, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of locusts, like a quarter inch deep on the ground for miles and miles. And I was like, ooh, it was the end of times.
If the juice cleanse was a year, it's this year.
Yeah. So it was real rough. But I guess we'll be here through it, and we'll.
I hope so.
We'll guide right. We'll guide you guys through it, and then if we're not here, at least you have this to look back at us on. So there's that.
Like those were two fine gentlemen.
Right. Weird accent on the lighter one though. Weird accent on him.
He does a bunch of voices over there.
Strange young man. What have you been up to? Like, what have you been doing?
I've been drawing a lot. Honestly, I've been drawing a lot and I've been reading a lot. Maria got me a book for our anniversary called Slugfest, and it's about how cutthroat Marvel and DC were when they were starting out. And I'm not gonna lie, this is like some Mad Men stuff. Comic books are like, people were like, it's nerdy and all that. It was the most cutthroat industry starting out I think I've ever seen, to the point of like people stealing plans and stealing artwork and stealing characters and storylines and sabotage and like destroying things. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh.
Something happened if you don't hear that. We live right by a firehouse, so that happens all the time. If you're still watching with us, folks.
Right. Got a huge structure fire.
Yeah. Lightning hit something.
Yeah. Maybe we should go out and investigate it. Let's go on a field trip. Pick up the cam.
My dreams.
We'll follow you out the back. Right. Dreams up in flames. So I've been playing a lot of video games. A lot of City Skylines. Some Call of Duty. Not a lot. I kind of want like a gaming computer now.
Whew.
I do. I kind of want one. Well, now because City Skylines was free on for PS Plus members for the month of May. It was the month of May game. So I didn't download it. I had bought it 3 days prior to that happening. So 2020, you know.
If there was ever a headline for your life, that was it.
Yeah. So I was like, that's really unfortunate. So I didn't get it for free. But that is the highlighted game of the month for any of you PlayStation owners there. So, but hey, I got it, and actually my brother had it, and he showed it to me like a couple years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, it's nice or whatever. I didn't like really pay attention to it, and then I started playing it. I was like, oh my God, like this is like because I grew up on like The Sims. I grew up like loving The Sims, hardcore. I would spend unnecessary amount of time playing those games. So I have this game, and I was like, oh my God, like this is like everything SimCity should have been, and wasn't. So it was great. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, I'm just doing that. Still doing Instacart, DoorDash.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, actually it is.
Yeah, especially now.
I really didn't think that it was going to be like I don't know. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. So I started doing DoorDash, and what I don't like about DoorDash is, so you have to keep a certain percentage of like acceptance for orders that come in. You don't get to pick your order. Like on Instacart, I can pick the orders that are appealing to me based on the location of where they're at, what the items are, and how much money I'm making. Mm-hmm. And I can choose what I want to pick up, what I don't want to pick up. DoorDash, I can choose the window of time I want to work in, but then I'm at the mercy of them on orders that come to me. And if I reject an order, it messes with my acceptance rate. And you have to have like an acceptance rate of, I think, like 75% to keep going, which inherently isn't terrible. Like that's not the terrible part. The terrible part is I will be, say I'm going to happen to me the other day. Somebody ordered IHOP for lunch. Mm-hmm. IHOP whenever I'm like drunk, IHOP is like super good. Like if I go to like an IHOP, that's like one of to me that's like the drunk spot. But I couldn't imagine eating that sober in the middle of the afternoon with a delivery service after it's been in my car for 25 minutes. And they got like pancakes. So they're like 25, yeah, whatever. That's not the story. So the story is, I had the stuff in my car. I'm getting ready to leave, and then DoorDash, like the little like bing thing comes in, and then they're like, "Hey, you got an order at Subway," and I'm like, I don't want to add another order on here. Mm-hmm. And then I hit no, like I don't want to add an order to this order, and then they're like, "Are you sure you're the closest Dasher? And if you don't accept it, your acceptance rate will go down to blank." And I'm like, oh, do I just have to keep accepting these? And I'll get these orders that come through. Like I've been driving through an intersection and it'll come up. Like I should be paying attention to the road. Like I feel like, you know how if you have the app Waze will give you ads while your vehicle is stopped at a stoplight. Like DoorDash, it's whenever. And whenever it comes through, bing. So I have 20 seconds. I have 20 seconds to figure out if I want to keep my job or not. Like it's stressful.
I just imagine your car full of food. Like you don't even remember whose orders whose anymore. You just have like a bunch in the back.
I don't. I did mix up somebody's order, a Panda Express order, and this place called Boudreaux's here. It was a rather large order from Boudreaux's. It's like a seafood kitchen. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I don't know. I don't care. It's our show. But
no business from us.
Right. They're not sponsoring this. But I got that order or whatever, and I'm going, then Panda Express pops up, and I'm like, oh. So I got to go to Panda Express now. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to Panda Express, and then I just assume that I'm getting the Panda Express order because I'm the closest Dasher, and it's the closest place. So then I'm like, I just hightail it there. I click on the name, hightailing it there. He works at like this Brinks facility.
Okay.
I have to walk down like this long sidewalk and go through these doors, and a whole ordeal. And then I hand him the Panda Express or whatever. And he's like, nah, man. Like, this isn't my food. This is, I got Boudreaux's or however you pronounce it. One, shame on me because I didn't pay attention. But two, I'm telling you, Boudreaux, like Panda Express was a bowl. If you've ever been to Panda Express, it's a bowl and a Coke. Boudreaux's, I had 2 bags, like 2 full bags and 3 drinks. You saw me walking down the sidewalk, dude. Did you not think, like, you didn't have to yell, but you could have acknowledged that this wasn't for you well before I got within spitting distance of you. Like, come on. These didn't look similar. They didn't look similar. But it was, obviously, it was my fault. So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, because, of course, like, my, like, hospitality brain, like, I'm still, like, I mean, I've done DoorDash before where I'm, like, just where my fries on the floor of your car, they're filthy. Like, I've literally gotten DoorDash where people don't care. It's like a slow roll. It's not even a stop. They just roll down the window and just throw the burger out the window. And they're like, enjoy your meal. Like, that's literally how I feel. So me and my hospitality brain, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like running back out to the car.
Just like that.
Just like that. I don't know why my arms are like this high. Just like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna run out here. I'm gonna get the food for this guy. I'm gonna come back in. And then I'm like, hopefully he doesn't like mess up my tip or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So I get it and I bring it back to him, and then I go do the guy's Panda Express order. And then and if you're doing DoorDash and Instacart, I mean, really anything now, they have like contactless delivery, which I kind of feel weird about because like I don't know if you know it's there. And again, the hospitality person to me, I get very worried about that. So like I leave the food on their doorstep and then I sit in my car and I just sit and I like watch the house to see if they come out and get the food. Because like I'm like nervous that they're not going to get the food and then they're going to complain on me. So I was like, gosh, now I have to sit here and just like stock.
Case in a joint.
Yeah, stock their house. I do that more with Instacart though, because I'll have like, I'll deliver ice cream, meat, eggs, $200 worth of groceries, and they're just like, throw it in the yard. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, not really like throw it in the yard, but yeah, like sit on the porch and then you just leave. So then I just sit in the car and I wait for them to come out or spray it with Lysol or whatever they do. So I've seen that too, where they just like spray it down.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's so much stress.
Yeah. But I need to keep busy because my head, like I'm somebody that has to keep busy. So I couldn't imagine like being at home. I'm like, I have to just keep it like,
yeah.
Even whenever I'm sleeping, I feel like my brain's in there like, oh God, we're up guys. He's asleep. We're up. You just have to keep it going. You have to keep it going so I don't blow up in my sleep, so I don't self-destruct.
No, I'm the opposite. I like to take it as slow as possible because I've noticed, I told Maria, I was like, I have to start walking more though and like getting out because I'm becoming more and more like germaphobic like I used to be, where I don't even want to touch doorknobs. Like I don't want to touch anything. Like I don't like I try to use my elbow for stuff to turn on the water and everything. And I was like, this is a slippery slope if I start going down this way again. So I'm trying to like slowly get myself kind of like those animals in the zoo when like we're going to introduce to the wild again. Like I go out there with my little ball and I'm like, okay.
and too, like I just gotta get out of the house because there's too much going on. So I don't know how you deal with that. Like how do you deal with, and we're gonna get into it in a second, but like with everything going on in the country right now, how do you like stay home? Like how do you keep sane? Because I don't know if I could do that.
I do a lot of.
You're like, I don't. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for. Like, and that's the show, guys. Have a great day.
Like, that's my secret. I'm never sane.
Right.
No, it's true. I do a lot of like reading and stuff. A lot more like faith-based things, and focus on like I have to be a better person in my own life in the sense of like not get angry so often and taking time to reflect and work through some stuff that I've kind of buried back in the back of my head so I don't have to deal with it and just try to like work through it now. Try to really do like really do some self-reflection stuff. So that's kind of how I, balance myself with all the crazy stuff going on. But I'm not a complete hermit crab. I do know like what's going on and I'm aware of things that are happening.
So, elephant in the room. All the, by the time this airs, I don't know where we're going to be at in terms of the demonstrations that are going on, the protests that are going on. Kind of like, what's your insight on that? I know we were briefly talking before the show too.
Yeah.
So,
it's tragic in the sense that, it's being looked at as, well, it's just looting just to loot, or it's just rioting just to riot. And that's not the case. And it's sad that that's kind of how it's getting boiled down to. It's kind of like a scapegoat for everyone to not acknowledge what actually happened. And they're kind of just acknowledging, but look what's happening right now. That doesn't matter. That's a side effect of what happened. Mm-hmm. How long can you let a frustration build or anger build with nothing to really channel it through? Not a person, who's a figurehead you can channel it through, who you feel like is going to help you get the end goal you want before you just go blind rage. I mean, most of us haven't had to deal with that level of frustration. Being, minority myself, I know the frustrations I've dealt with, but it's not nearly to the extent of the frustrations that other people have had to deal with. Yeah. And I can never equate the two because it's just vastly different. But the anger and the frustration, the beats are the same. kind of what it feels like to be so frustrated because you feel like alone, like no one's caring about this. You times that by 10 to the things that are happening now. This is the logical outcome that would happen. This blind rage with no way to funnel it, no way to channel it, it's what would happen. It's just natural.
To me, it's the same song and dance. Like, it literally is the same song and dance. Yeah. We watch these protests, every 3 years, maybe? That make the national news, like this nationwide protesting, not racism in America, because that's every single day. But on this scale, to where it's being publicized the way it is, like, I feel like it's just a regular occurrence, and it's still like we're just like treading water here. We're just treading water, and to me, it's just getting worse. Like, this country is just getting worse. Everything is just getting worse. I don't feel like anything is really getting better. Now, again, if we're not sitting in the same seat, we don't have the same view, right? Like, that's obviously my opinion. Is I feel like everything is getting worse, and I feel like there's a disconnect between white people and minorities in this country, and I think the disconnect is there. Like, it's the only plausible outcome of years and years and years and years and years and centuries of this behavior between these two groups of people. Like, this is what else did you expect? What else could anyone really expect based on the history of these two groups of people to have?
Yeah.
Just because it's 2020 doesn't mean that everything's better. Just because if time is passing with no action, nothing is going to change. Just we'll be older.
Yeah.
And more pissed off. Like, if nothing's happening, and I feel like, because, you know, inherently in the description of, you know, a minority, there's obviously more white people than there are people of color. It's what makes them minorities. And I feel like there has to come a time where the collective mission, where the white agenda is to advance the interests of people of color, to work alongside people of color to advance their interests. Until that authentically happens, I feel like we're still going to always just be treading water, until that day comes where white people are no longer the majority. And then we're going to be sitting at a crossroads where, is it just going to be flipped? Is it just going to be reversed? Or are we going to be like, hey, you know, we went through it, we don't want other people to go through it, here's a path. Like, I don't even know what that would look like. But I just feel like I do know that the landscape of this country in terms of race is changing. That's fact. We know that. We know that there are more people of mixed race and minority race in this country than there were 50 years ago. And that's going to continue and continue and continue and continue until they are the majority. Sure. And up until that happens, if we're not doing anything, like I said, if it's just time passing and there's no action, we're just going to be older and more pissed off. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell. You know, I don't want to tell white people what to do, because I don't know what to tell white people to do. It's not my place to tell white people what to do. But I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
But I think it's more than just, I think it's anyone who is, you know, kind of sitting on the sideline.
Correct.
Not doing anything.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
It's not, it's, well, like we talked about before, it's that age-old thing of, like, I don't have to help you, but I don't have to kill you either. Yeah. But you know what you're doing by not helping.
Correct.
You're essentially signing that deal. You're cashing a check for someone who didn't write the check by not helping them. So I think that kind of plays into it too, where people, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. I don't have a problem with anyone. you don't have a problem with anyone, but you're also not helping.
Right. I'm not racist. I didn't own any slaves.
Like,
I hate hearing that. I was like, what? Like that, like, but you hear stuff like that.
yeah.
You hear stuff like that. You see stuff like that. I don't know how many times that has been told to me in my life. I'm not kidding. Well, I didn't own any slaves. Like as a kid, I'm telling you, I was a kid. Well, I'm not racist. I didn't own any slaves.
And see, I think that's one of the good things about, growing up in Brooklyn is that we all grew up the same. It wasn't so much, it was more a social class thing than it was a race thing, because it didn't matter if you were minority or white, you were all the same amount of poor. You lived in the same area, so you were all the same amount of poor. So we didn't really, look at any different. We didn't judge anyone based on anything other than if you treated me like I was a poor kid because you had more money, or if we treated you the same way. So, that's kind of more how we grew up. So for me, I didn't really see that until I got older and we moved to the Midwest. And then I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. My parents literally had to ask, they didn't have to, they chose to, but my parents felt obligated to ask community members before they adopted children of color.
Wow.
Yeah, true. That's how deep it was, where they felt obligated to ask if it was okay to bring people of color. I don't think, if you ask them now, they're going to be like, we weren't asking for permission. We were just telling them this was how it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not. But what I do know is true is that they felt obligated to ask people around them their opinions on bringing people of color into this community.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is that, we have to start. Go ahead.
And regardless of what their answer was, doesn't matter. The fact that you felt obligated to even ask, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because there has to be something going on to where you have to have that in your head and be like, maybe we should see if this is all right, or I'm going to tell them that this is how it is. Either road you take there, like there's obviously an inherent issue if that comes into your mind, and that's sad.
Yeah. It's one of those things that in a way I'm really glad, and I hope that more parents kind of take the route. I'm not saying my parents were like the most perfect, amazing parents. We weren't a sitcom family. But my parents were always very much in the mind frame of if somebody does you right and they got your back, regardless of what they are, what they look like, or what they believe, you have theirs, because it goes back and forth. They have your back, you have their back. But, the day somebody shows you that they no longer have your back, or when it counts and they don't have you, you're out. That's it. Because when the tables are turned and you're the one that's going to need the help, they're going to be high and dry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people kind of reflected on that more and kind of just thought to themselves, like, they're good to me, I'm good to them. It doesn't matter how he grew up or she grew up or where they grew up or how they grew up or what they look like. If they're treating me right, then, they have my back, I have theirs. But I feel like people get so wrapped up in stereotypical pigeonholes to where they kind of anticipate you're going to play into a stereotype. So they're just waiting for it. And the minute you do, they're going to be like, see, this is why I don't want to trust this guy. I knew it was going to happen. No, you didn't. You didn't know it was going to happen.
Right. And I don't want to get into an area where I was like, well, let's not see color. I don't like that. That's not. No one should say that. No one should think
real.
that. That's not real. No one should even want that.
Yeah.
No one should want that. But to me, like I said earlier, there's an obligation to a group of people to aid in the advancement of the human race in this country. There just is. And I think one thing that, and again, I would love it if we could have, more of a discourse about this with you guys that are listening. And I'm going to direct it a little bit. Like if we could get more feedback from like our white listeners, because I don't have an opinion or an outlook, and Carlos can't. We can't. Just like Carlos was saying, he can't be in the experience of people that haven't shared the similar like Brooklyn life experience as he has. He can't. Mm-hmm. He can't. He doesn't know what that feels like. He's not going to know what that feels like. We're not going to understand because I don't understand. The white experience. I don't. But mm-hmm. I personally feel, and correct me, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I need to understand for myself. But I think that I think that white people are triggered by the words like white privilege. I think they're triggered by that. I think they put it with like, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I struggle with this, and I struggle with this, and I struggle with this, and I struggle with this. And while that's true, no one's saying, like, whenever I say that, whenever I say white people in this country have white privilege, that's not me saying you've not had any struggles in your life. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that being a person of color in an oppressive society is not one of the issues that you've had.
Right.
You may have had. I know a slew of poor white people because I grew up with them. Like, mm-hmm. It's not like a classist thing, but there is an inherent privilege in being Caucasian in the United States. There just is. There is, and that's not white people's fault. Mm-hmm. Like the white people around me, it's not their fault. But like you said earlier, regardless of color, if you are idle to the wrongdoings around you, and you have quote unquote a stronger voice or a more I'm not even going to say strong, a more palatable voice to the general public, and you're not utilizing that, then you're just as culpable to me. You're just as culpable. It's like this is just, it's right and wrong. There's no middle. There's no gray area. It's just right, and then there's wrong. People wouldn't, like you said, people wouldn't be looting and tearing down buildings if they were being killed in the streets every day. People aren't. It's not peaceful because that's already been done. And it's already not worked. It's the same fight. The same fight that our parents would have had. Our same fight that our grandparents would have had. Our same fight that our great-grandparents would have had being in this country. It's the same thing. It's not gotten better.
I think it's really, really hard because, like I said, it was different before because, so again, from my own experience, when mm-hmm. people came, almost everyone funneled through New York. So you had to run into everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, even in New York, you're historically, like, your neighborhoods are a little bit different. Like, yeah, the Italians live this way for the most part, because when you come over, you all want to kind of stick together. Right. But as those communities grow, you're going to start to blend, and you have to learn basically how to live by the other one. So that whole blending over time helped. It's not perfect in New York because New York's had its own, cases where things have happened as well. So it's not perfect in New York. I'm not, by no stretch of the imagination am I saying it is. But I think the more that kind of thing flows through everyone else, where you start mingling with other people and you get to know people for people as opposed to what you think they might be like. Because it's even like people who don't live in New York. When you hear it, they're like, oh, New Yorkers are rude and they're arrogant and they're this or that. Some of them are. And some of that's the attitude that comes with living in a tough town. Mm-hmm. But not everyone's like that. And once you start to kind of peel that back, you see that. And it's the same thing with these other issues and with race in general, is the more you talk with someone and you sit down and you really get to know them, you start seeing you are not that different. You're not. The things that you thought and the things that you feared are what held you back from getting to know this person as a person. Yeah. There are people I don't like on either side. doesn't mean anything. It just means we didn't jive. We didn't click. And that's fine. There's people I like who are Hispanic and who aren't Hispanic. Doesn't matter. I clicked. But I clicked because of you, not because of some preconceived notion I had or society's telling me what I should think. Because, again, when the times were good for us, people kind of banded together over something,
Time's good for who?
In general, like America. Like when people were like America's heyday.
I don't know when that was.
When those pockets were
When
good.
was that? Tell me when that was.
When those pockets were good, it was because everyone had a central thing to rally around, I mean, more recent, most patriotic central around was right after 9/11. Everyone was just USA. Didn't matter where you came from. We were all American together. You were there.
You came from the Middle East.
For a while, everyone was like, yeah, USA. And then again, it became more and more, for another group of people. Now you were the enemy and the villain. So I think America's always done that, though. There's always been an enemy or a villain in order for everyone to rally around. There always has been. And it's sad that you can't just rally around because it's a Tuesday. Because they're a person that you enjoy hanging out with. And I don't know. There's no way you or I are going to give a quick fix to solve any of this. There's no way.
No. And it starts at the top down, too. It starts at the top. It's going to start at the top down. I mean, we need to have people that have our interests in positions of power. It is now starkly, I don't even know if that's a word. It is starkly, glaringly evident that who is going to be in the highest office in the land next year, or this year, next year, I guess, is going to be Caucasian. One way or the other, they're going to be white. It's going to be the same old white guy that's in there or a new old white guy. That's what it's going to be. And to me, where my frustration is again, politics in this country is such a huge racket that there's no other room just for these two corrupt parties that we have. And the liberal corrupt party, the best that we could do, the absolute best that we could do with a field of qualified women of color, qualified men of color, LGBT individuals, with a field as diverse as we had, we settled on an old white guy, more of the same. And if we don't feel represented, if we don't feel that our interests are heard, met at all, and then there's even an argument, even whenever Obama was in office, that people, and especially for minorities in this country, it's triggering whenever people are it's it was one of the things that was great on the cover of a book, but whenever you're flipping through the pages, your interests really aren't there, because it's just the political machine. It had nothing to do with him as who he was. It's just the political machine. But until that changes, until we have authentic change there, I just don't see it here in my world and what I see every day. Until it changes up there, Republican, Democrat. I think that both parties, we have just two corrupt parties. So take that out of it. I think we have the absolute most hateful person operate, and I'm really, really, really trying to stay in a lane here. But one of the most hateful people running the show, and he's not hateful because he's pro-America. That's what people will attack me for. You hate him because he's pro-America. No, I don't. I'm pro-America. I I like people that are pro-America. I do. But until we see change there, how am I supposed to see change in my world?
Yep. And it's not a matter of opinion either. There are statistical facts to back the frustrations that people have. It's not like, this was a big high-profile thing that happened a one-off. It's not. There are statistical facts for the, oppression and things that have happened that people are ignoring. And that's where the frustration starts to build. If it was kind of like, something happened here, something happened there, and it was like one-offs, and people started going crazy and, screaming at each other and rioting and fighting, then you can be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, it was two things. Calm down. This is years, decades of things that have built. There's nothing being made up. There's stats, there's statistics, there's everything to back it.
And to me, it's almost like we're going in reverse. I mean, way back before you and I were ever on this earth, I mean, they were like having lynch parties. Like they would have parties and lynch people. Mm-hmm. Then we get past that and we go to where you and I grew up, where I just don't like those type of kids. Like I don't want you to hang out with those type of kids, or somebody clutching their purse or changing over on the other side of the sidewalk, or my little brother went through like terrible stuff in the school district, in the public school district, in regards to race. But like now we're moving on to me, right back to almost those lynch parties. I mean, there was a group of guys just literally standing there watching him choke or straddle, sit on, suffocate. Mm-hmm. I don't know what word everyone wants me to use, but the life out of that man for 9 minutes, almost 9 full minutes. And he was unresponsive for almost 3 of those minutes.
Yeah.
In broad daylight. It was daylight.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if he was I don't care if he was high. I don't care if he was drunk. I don't care what the issue was. It shouldn't have cost him his life. It shouldn't have cost him his dignity. He's begging for his mom. He can't breathe. I can't even imagine going through something like that. Or God forbid, my little brother crying for his mom. Like that's why people are mad.
There's no justifying it at all.
No, and then the people who are reporting the news and showing what's happening on this country get arrested before the guy that did this, that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
He was Omar. I wish I knew his last name.
Jimenez, I think.
Yeah, from CNN, was arrested before this dude. So we're quick on that. Quick to shut that down.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I should not be afraid every time I see a police car, and I am. I am terrified. I am terrified. I was literally thinking I was on my phone the other day, and I was like, I wonder if there's a quick access button, like how you like hit volume twice. Like I wonder if there's like a quick access button I can set up to start recording. Why do I need to think that? But I do. I shouldn't have to think that. But I do. If I had kids, I would literally have to teach them, like, this is how you don't get killed by the police in modern day America. Should be a course taught in school. How to not be killed by the police. How to make it. How to live another day.
It's genuinely something that you become speechless over a while, because again, nothing I can say is going to be either it resonates with you or it doesn't. You know,
Right.
Nothing I can say somebody's going to be like, I can see myself doing that. Either it resonates with you and you want to help in any way you possibly can, or you turn it off and you don't care because you think it doesn't affect my world. No one I know is in jeopardy. But
Until they are.
Eventually somebody you know is going to be in jeopardy.
Oh, they are.
And you're going to hope and pray that somebody's going to have your back.
Yeah. The people you turn your back on don't turn their backs on you.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to, it doesn't matter. If somebody has your back, if somebody's there for you, you have theirs. Even if you have to make the first move and show them, like, I have your back, make the first move. But you cannot sit by regardless, or you cannot look for, you know, as people like to say, the devil's advocate of it all. Like, okay, but why does that happen? Or what did they do to cause it? Nothing can be justified to what happens. And not just in this instance, in any of the other instances.
Right. I don't care. The actions do not justify the outcomes.
No.
They don't. They never have. So that's why this is what I don't understand. They have never matched ever.
No.
So people, please stop trying that.
Yeah, and it's so hard because, again, it's not like these were, you know, police standoffs. It's not like they were like hostage situations. None of this was happening. And it's terrifying to think that you can be as compliant as possible. You can be as calm as possible. You can do everything right, and it still won't matter. That's terrifying to think. And it's terrifying to think that this is even a debate, that people are going to debate whether how frustrations are being vented properly or not.
Yeah.
That's not the point. That's not the point right now. If you want to debate that after, you know, in hindsight, play Monday morning quarterback and say, you know, in hindsight, you probably shouldn't have did that. Sure, do that after. But right now, that's not the debate. The debate should be, how do I do more?
Yeah.
To help someone. That's your debate. How do you do
more? From my position as a person of color that has many privileges in life, a platform to discuss these issues with other people, what can I do more to elevate this issue, to change the outcome?
Yep.
As a white person in this country, what can I do in my position of privilege to change the outcome? Because again, if we don't do anything, we're just older and more pissed off. All of us.
Yep.
Nothing is going to change. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think. I know that it's a touchy topic, but again, it shouldn't be. These things need to be talked about. But let us know what you think. Join in a dialogue with us, a constructive dialogue, a respectful dialogue, and follow us on Facebook. Beg pardon. We are now on Instagram, Twitter, as always, and we'll be on YouTube as well soon. So we'll put all of that information. Yeah, we'll put all of that information out there for you guys. But thank you for tuning in tonight, or today, or this afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this. But we really appreciate it. Thank you.
And that will do it for us on the first edition of Beg Pardon. He's been Anthony. I've been Carlos. And remember, I've said it before. I'll say it again. All life is precious. Until next time.